بسم الله. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أفضل المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه الطيبين الطاهرين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي وبعد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, يَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. We see sometimes there are people that do not like this message of La ilaha illallah. There are people that for some reason, they do not like people that submit and surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they plot. And sometimes they do things and we think that they are really plotting and they're really clever and they really can do things. And it seems that their plots are very ingenious and they have power and strength. Yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us they plot and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala plots. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best of planners. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes can turn the very plot that those people would do to destroy and diminish the rank of Islam against them. And it becomes their own demise. And today I want to actually share with you something from history. Something that I found very profound, a reminder for all of us of times that were darker than the times we live in. And I'm going to say it quickly. The Mongols' time, when Muslims faced a horrible enemy, the Mongol invasion. And those were people that were so ruthless. They did terrible things to Muslims. The area of Bukhara and Samarkand and the Tirmidh and Hura, what's known today as Iran and Afghanistan and Central Asia, it said the population of those places were about 3 million. In 1 year, when the Mongols invaded, they reduced the Muslim population to 200,000, killed everybody. And then they went and they did what they did with Baghdad and destroyed the Khilafah. And it seems that the Muslims were psychologically defeated. This enemy played on the psychological state of the Muslims. They would send letters to the Muslims quoting the Quran about how Allah is not with you and we're the wrath of Allah on you. And Hulagu Khan, their leader, was so clever in this. And when we look to history, there is something very interesting that happened and a question that is not answered, which is what? It seems the Mongols were going on invading and they took Iraq and destroyed the Khilafah. And then the cities of Sham started surrendering to them. And we know from history, we say, hey, they got defeated in Egypt. The Mamluks of Egypt, Qutuz, Ain Jalut. That's where the Muslims defeated the Mongols. And then we put a full stop and the story ends. There is something missing. What is it? Egypt defeated one army of the Mongols in Ain Jalut. Here is the question. Hulagu was still there. The Mongol Empire was still there. Why didn't they attack again? You destroyed one of their armies, but you did not destroy their empire. Baghdad, who took Baghdad back? It wasn't Baybars or Qutuz or... What happened? Why did Hulagu Khan did not return and attack the Mamluks again? What was the real change? Who changed? And this is what I'm going to share with you today. Someone that we do not think of and do not even mention the name. When the Mongols defeated Khorasan and the ruler there was Muhammad ibn Khawarizm Shah, Alauddin ibn Muhammad ibn Khawarizm Shah, they defeated him, and to humiliate him, they captured his family members, his mother, his sisters, his daughters, his sons, and they started killing his sons and the daughters. What do you think they did to the daughters of the Sultan? They sold them as slave girls. One of them, her name was Risala Khatun, a daughter of the Sultan, Muhammad ibn Khawarizm Shah. Now the Mongols captured her and they made her a slave girl. And Genghis Khan himself, she was apparently such a beautiful girl. So he gave her to his son. He went to his son, his name is Joji, said, here, take her as a slave, a Muslim woman, a princess. Now the slave girl for a kafir, to do whatever he wants. If you were in her position, how do you feel? But Risala Khatun had such a character, such faith of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, kept her faith to the extent that Joji, the son of Genghis Khan, liked her so much, he freed her and married her. It's haram to us. I know, but what can she do? He's a kafir, he's not even a Christian. But she had such a character that he freed that young woman and married her. And she started speaking about Islam to him. And again and again. And Joji became very lenient towards Muslims. To the extent in his region, Muslims were spared. But the story doesn't end there. She had a son from Georgia. What can she do? And she started, this son is raised by the Mongols. Genghis Khan is his grandfather. Joji is his dad. The Mongol Empire. Yet she kept telling this son about Islam. Kept practicing Islam. Did not lose faith. Kept telling him about the Quran. She's a single woman. Everybody else, but she did not give up. And she did continue to teach her son as best as she can. She practiced as much as she can, and she kept teaching her son. And her son liked his mother. And then this message of Islam he liked, but he was confused. Till one day he was traveling to the capital of Mongolia. And she told him, on the way back, pass by the city of Bukhara. And there is a scholar there, meet with him. And her son went back to Bukhara, met with this great scholar, and he told him, tell me about Islam. My mother is a Muslim. I see what she's doing, but why is Islam the right religion? What about Christianity? What about Buddhism? What about this? What about that? And the scholar kept talking to him. And this young man, something happened in his heart. So he told that scholar, write a book for me, telling me, I want to make sure Islam is the right religion. And that scholar, Sadruddin, wrote a book called the Risala al-Nasiriyya, very small booklet, about the prophethood of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the character of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam and who Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam was and what he stood up for. And this young man read it and he was convinced Muhammad Rasul, he must be a prophet, no question. So he went back to his mother, announced, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, I am a Muslim. And guess what happened? When his father died, he became the Khan. And immediately he announced, Islam is the religion of the state. He became the leader of the Golden Horde, split from the Mongol Empire. And that was when Holako invaded Baghdad and killed the Khalifa. And now this young man called himself Baraka Khan. And started doing what? Holako is his cousin. It's his family. He said, yet he is the enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he started building schools. Built a city called Sarai Baraka. Invited all the scholars in schools. On his hands, hundreds of thousands of the Mongols of the Golden Horde converted to Islam. So when Bibars and Potos defeated the Mongols, Baraka Khan sent a letter to them. I am a Muslim. And those, yes, they're Mongols, they're my cousins, it's my family. But yet Muhammad Rasulullah. And he gathered an army, hundreds of thousands. And he went to attack Holako Khan. Holako never returned to Egypt. Never returned to Sham. Why? Because he was busy with Baraka Khan. It was Baraka Khan, this man that stood against Holako, communicated with Bibars of Egypt, right? And he was the one that many Mongols converted on his hands. Some people started deserting Holako Khan and coming to him and coming to Bibars. We know Baraka Khan did wonders, protected the Muslim Ummah. He is a real hero. Maybe some of us heard about him. But the story is not about Baraka Khan. The story is about who? Where did he come from? Who's the real hero here? Risala Khatun. This young woman that did not give up on her religion. When the Muslim Ummah was surrendering, literally surrendering, defeated, she was not defeated. She continued to hold her faith. She did not give up. She practiced her religion in a situation that unheard of. She's trapped. Nobody can save her. The Khalifa can save her. The Muslim rulers can save her. Nobody can come to her rescue. She's by herself among the horrendous Mongols. Yet because of her sincerity, because of her character, because of her dedication, because she chose not to give up. And she chose not to give up on her son. In the midst of undescribable phenomena, she stood fast. It was her son, Baraka Khan, that ended up raising Islam, raising the banner of Islam in Central Asia, the Golden Horde. And surely enough, Holako, his grandson, accepts Islam as well. And the Mongols, nobody defeated the Mongols, really. Nobody took Baghdad back from them. That woman, Risala Khatun, and Baraka Khan, the Mongols became Muslims. And they became the strength of Islam. And the story continues. But the moral here is what? It was Genghis Khan that did this to himself. Remember, how did the story start? Genghis Khan killed the ruler and wanted to humiliate him. So what did he do? He, by his own hands, took his daughter and he gave her as a slave girl to his son. You did that. That daughter that you gave, she converted your grandson who destroyed your empire. They plot and Allah plot. Their plot turned again. He did that to himself. He was the one that revived Islam by doing this. يَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ خَيْرُ الْمَاكِرِينَ. Never give up. It's our enemies defeat us when we psychologically get convinced we can fight. Men of that time, men, you read Ibn al-Athir and Ibn al-Kathir, they will tell you, the men were defeated. They will tell you like one Mongol would enter a city and there is 100 men sitting and he will tell them, everybody freeze till I kill all of you. And guess what happens? They all sleep. And then the man gets the sword, kills the first one, the second, the third, fourth, fifth, 100 of them. Nobody moves. The Muslims get defeated when we believe, when our enemy convinces us that we can't fight, that we're helpless, that it's hopeless, that there is no hope. Give up. Today is the same technique. We're not helpless, brothers and sisters. We are not. We are strong. We're powerful. Allah's with us. Allah's on our side. The Muslim Ummah does not lack neither in strength nor resources, neither in faith. It's psychological. We need people like Risala Khatun. People that do not give up under any condition. And you do not know where the victory of Allah will come from. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us live long enough to see a reversal of the cycle. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us live long enough that we see Muslims in the Aqsa Mosque. And we see the word La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah in every word in our Muslim countries. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us live long enough to see just Muslim rulers ruling good Muslim countries. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب. جزاكم الله. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.